Alright, so we're down here in the indoor simulator. We just got done with our full swing, with our on-course lesson, but a lot of it has been focusing on full swing. The short game aspects are, pretty good for you right now. We've got some good practice ideas, but really the one thing I want to talk to you about is really how we're going to practice the full swing changes that we've been making. Kind of going back to what we've been talking about, your biggest concern right now is making sure that we're getting good contact. The direction in which the ball is flying, you're doing a pretty good job of that right now. Directionally, it's more of a draw than anything, and you're able to kind of work the golf ball both ways. You're a smart enough player to be able to do that. The thing is, we can't worry too much about direction right now unless we have good contact. We can't really go anywhere else until we have solid ball first, ground second, and we're able to utilize all the club. So the one thing that we've been focusing on is the movement of the hands. Whenever we get bad contact going with you right now, it's usually because there's a lot of hinge early. And because of that, it creates a lot of inconsistency of where we're bodying out that club. We start to throw the hands at it. Are they lagging behind it? To where we have a collection of shots where we hit them really, really well. And all of a sudden we hit one where it's like the club's like 2 inches behind the ball, or one where we catch it extremely thin. It's just not very consistent. And consistency is one of the things that you're really wanting to focus on. So what we need to do is, like we talked about before, making sure that those hands stay quiet in the backswing, and that's going to translate through the follow through. Now there's 2 points that we're going to focus on with that. One is the takeaway, and 2 is the transition through. I showed you a video of Bryson DeChambeau, back in his amateur years when he won the U.S. Amateur. I think it was in 2016. I think is when he won it. And that's when he had more weight. He was way more of a nerd than he was a muscle mass kind of guy. I use that term loosely. But with him, he was more focused on, the single plane swing and, less levers in his golf swing and stuff like that. And we're kind of pulling away from that. We want to be as simple as we can in our golf swing to eliminate a lot of wrist hinge. So we're kind of borrowing from DeChambeau in a way. I want you to really focus on making sure on that takeaway, that's just our shoulders and arms bringing that club back. Our hands aren't releasing the club until we get to the top of the swing. And then when we're coming through the ball, it almost feels like we're holding the shot off. So we create that very small swing. So the first step is making sure that we have that very quiet takeaway. In order for us to practice that, I recommend when warming up, hitting roughly 10 to 15 shots with a wedge or whatever club. This golf ball might go 20, 30 yards, but it's really just starting the club back with no hands, arms, and shoulders to about hip height, and then following through at about hip height. That way we're really just focusing on the impact zone, because that's what's most important right now as far as contact is concerned, is what we're doing when we're coming down through transition with the impact of the golf ball. Second is what I want you doing with each club that you practice with is that I want you focusing on that really, really small condensed swing that we've been talking about. So let's say if we warm up with those 15 shots and then we jump up to a pitching wedge. Let's say you hit 12 shots with that pitching wedge. I want the first 6 to be that smaller, condensed, DeChambeau-like swing for the first 6, and the second 6 with that pitching wedge is your fluid golf swing, trying to take the feeling of that condensed swing and putting it into what feels like your normal stock shot. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And then whatever clubs you work through when you have a range session are going to be kind of the same way. So let's say you warm up with 15 shots with whatever club, then you go pitching wedge, a short iron, a long iron, a wood, and then your driver. So if you're doing that, you hit 5 different clubs, you hit roughly 12 shots. That's 60 shots plus the 15 that you warm up with. That's a very, very healthy dosage of ball striking work. I think any more than that might be a little overzealous.
Okay.
And we don't want to run into situations where we're getting way too tired and we're not able to make the good, correct movement. Does that make sense?
Quality over quantity in this
Exactly,
aspect.
yes.
Okay.
Really utilize every shot that we have and making sure we're touching each base with it coming from a wedge all the way up to our driver. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Cool, great. So that's the practice recommendation I have for you is for your iron work, for your full swing game.
Perfect.
Cool, good stuff.
Thanks.
Thank you.